For today's video, we're talking travel tech. I've got a handful of things you definitely want to check out before your next trip. First up is the Satechi on-the-go 3-in-1 wireless charger. I've had my eye on this for some time. I know Anker makes one very similar as well. I am so excited to have finally got one and tested out. It is as good as I hoped for. It's a portable wireless charger, but it's actually a 3-in-1 design that'll charge your phone, your AirPods, and your Apple Watch. It weighs 140 grams or about 5 ounces, folded up like this. It's 2.7 inches in diameter and it's 1.3 inches thick. This thing is extremely compact considering what you're getting. You have a full Qi 2 wireless charger, so that's 15 watts for your phone. You have 5 watts for your AirPods or any other wirelessly charged headphones. Then you have a fast charger 5 watt for your Apple Watch as well. It has one USB-C port for input, and it does actually come with a color matched USB-C cable, which is unnecessary, but a really nice touch here. The overall build quality feels really good. It's made out of some sort of like vegan leather. I really love this thing though. I'm a huge fan of wireless charging, even if it is a little bit slower than cables. It's just so much more convenient, and this adds to that convenience even more. You know, having all of the chargers you need for your daily stuff while you're traveling, you can keep it on the nightstand and you're good to go. You're paying a bit of a premium though. This thing comes out to $100, which is a tough pill to swallow, I know. But if you can justify the cost, it's awesome and definitely well worth it for the convenience for a lot of us. Got a couple of GaN power bricks to talk about up next. This is the AOHI Magcube Pro, and this is the UGREEN 65 watt Nexode Pro. These two aren't new, but I know it can be a bit overwhelming to look for charging bricks out there. There are so many options, and honestly, most of them are pretty good, but these are my two favorites that I've been using in my kit for at least a couple of years now, and I absolutely love them. Starting with the Magcube Pro here, it's a 140 watt charger, so it's going to handle just about any laptop that you have most likely. It measures 2.6 inches by 2.9 inches by 1.2 inches. It is extremely compact for the power output that you get, much better than a lot of other options. You have two USB-C ports that are each capable of 140 watts. That is not something that is very common for these. You're usually tethered to one specific port on the brick. Then you have a USB-A port here that can do 22.5 watts. If you do want to use the USB-C in tandem, you get 65 watts each, so still enough for, you know, two pretty high-powered devices. You also have a little LED indicator on the top that'll specify if it's fast charging or regular charging or a slower trickle charge. Really nice to be able to confirm that you're getting the maximum power output to your devices. If you don't need this high of power, I also really like this UGREEN 65 watt Nexode Pro charger. The main draw with this one for me is this form factor. I absolutely love the super thin design. It's just over 1/2 inch thick. The plug folds in, so it adds to that small and thin convenience. You have two USB-C ports and one USB-A port. It's a total of 65 watts here. Packs into a tech pouch much easier with this thinner design. Sometimes the bigger, bulkier power bricks are just tough to wiggle into the organization. It's also extremely nice for when you're out and about using it, because this thin design allows it to be used in tighter spaces. If you have a plug that's behind something, you know, a piece of furniture or anything like that. It also really helps if you have, you know, loose plugs. I don't know if that's a thing everywhere, but in the US, some older electrical outlets just are loose, and if you have too much weight, it just falls right out. This kind of solves that problem. So if that's ever been an annoyance for you, you know, this is an incredible design that I just haven't really seen in very many other places. You know, this combination of these two cover me in just about any trip for any purpose. This might look like a wallet, but it's actually an external hard drive. This is the SHARGE Disk Plus SSD enclosure. I've had my eye on this since the Kickstarter launch. I wasn't able to get an early release or anything, but I bought one for myself and absolutely love it. This is the thinnest design for portable SSD or NVMe drive that I have ever seen. It's only 6 millimeters or about 1/4 inch thick, you know, the size of a few credit cards stacked together. It's similar in length and width as well. You do actually have a built-in cable here too, which I thought was such a clever design and just really adds to this portability and convenience. It pops right out of the enclosure, which is a CNC aluminum alloy that feels very premium for the $30 price point. Aside from the form factor being small, which is excellent, you can actually fit a full 2280 NVMe drive in here. You know, there are other small enclosures on the market, but you usually need to get a 2230 or one of the smaller options. This can house those full-size NVMEs, which are generally generally a lot cheaper and easier to get your hands on. It supports USB 3.2 Gen 2, so you get 10 gigabit speeds. In my testing, it was just a little bit underneath. So basically, as advertised, you have 2 USB-C ports on here. You have one for data and one for power. You can actually run pass-through power up to 100 watts through this, which is really great. And that brings me to the potential applications here for this tiny form factor. You can stick this on the back of a Steam Deck or my Legion Go. You can also use it with your phone if you want to do, the full ProRes RAW footage that requires an external drive, or if you just want something super small for your laptop. There are a ton of possibilities here. One complaint I did have though, all of those possibilities are excellent, and that was what really drew me to this. I want to be able to use it with my phone, or my Legion Go is probably my long-term plan for this. But you need to pay for the additional accessories, which I find a little annoying. I know it's not very expensive to begin with, but I think it would have been really great to put that L-shaped charging cable and a little MagSafe magnetic ring in there. Probably only cost them a few cents. But regardless of my gripe with the paid accessories, the overall build quality is great. It is still really inexpensive. The speeds are as advertised. The fact that it fits full 2280 drives is awesome. Really happy with this overall, and my only other wish list item would be to have a Thunderbolt version for increased speeds with the NVMe drives. Really quick though, I want to give a huge thank you to BLUETTI for sponsoring this week's video and introduce you to the Elite 200 V2 power station. This thing is an absolute beast in a surprisingly tiny package. It offers a lot of things I honestly haven't seen from anyone else in this space. It would make a great companion for those of you like me who do a lot of off-grid camping or just want the peace of mind having a strong power backup in case of an emergency. Getting into some of the specs, it's 2073 watt hours of capacity and 2600 watts of output power. It's the most I've seen in this class and form factor. This is more than enough to handle just about any appliance you'd want to plug in, running your fridge, microwave, or TV during an outage, or if you want to charge an e-bike or an electric cooler or fridge or a heater while you're camping. It even has something called powerlifting mode that can deliver up to 3900 watts of power in total. That is more than double the entire circuit for my home office here with an obnoxious amount of tech inside. It also uses auto-grade lithium iron phosphate batteries. They're rated for 6,000 charge cycles, which equates to 17 years of daily charge and discharges. It's got a great array of output ports and can power 9 devices simultaneously. You have 4 AC outlets, 1 12-volt DC outlet, 2 15-watt USB-A ports, and 2 100-watt USB-C ports. For input, you can charge via AC up to 1800 watts, solar up to 1000 watts, or 96 watts from a vehicle. The Turbo Boost charging will let you get an 80% charge in only 1.1 hours or 2.4 hours using solar only. All of this power comes in a ridiculously tiny package. It measures 13.78 inches by 9.84 inches by 12.74 inches. It looks more like a 1 kilowatt hour battery, which is wild, and runs extremely quiet at 16 decibels. Between the small size and the carry handles, it's super easy to take with you and set up basically anywhere you want, and it fits easily behind the seat of a car or in a small tent. It's definitely not lightweight, coming in at 53.4 pounds, but that's pretty standard in my experience compared to most other power stations with this capacity. They've really knocked it out of the park with the build quality too. It feels sturdy and has a dual layer shell for shock absorption to ensure nothing is damaged on the interior. They've done quite a few other things for safety here in addition to that shell as well. Has a smart multi-chip protection with the power inverter. It can handle inputs of up to 20 amps and 60 volts without damage. It's flame retardant and it's able to be grounded, which is excellent. You don't want to risk any fires in your home or when you're out in the backcountry. It also has an alarm messaging system for any temp voltage or circuit issues. I haven't personally ran into this myself, but it's really good to know that it's there in case I need it. Control and management has been really great here as well. You have the built-in LCD display for monitoring all of the basics like battery levels and charge discharge. But they also have a great companion app with their AI BMS system for real-time monitoring and battery management. It can even auto-trigger the solar charging as you need it. The longer I use the Elite 200 V2, the more I love it. The capacity is second to none. The build quality is excellent. All in all, it's been a really great device that's definitely coming with me this year on the rest of my backcountry adventures. It's currently on sale at the lowest price of the year for BLUETTI Prime Day. Be sure to check the links in the description down below if you want to learn more or pick one up for yourself. Huge thanks again BLUETTI for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Next up, we have the long-awaited GL.iNet Slate 7 travel router. I've been a huge fan of travel routers for some time. I know all of you that watch regularly know that. I've had my eye on the Slate 7 since it came out. I've mentioned it a few times. I just got it in and I'm really excited to be diving in. This will be more of a quick overview and first impressions. I just got it, so I haven't had a ton of time to dive in deep. I'm still brainstorming some ideas for a long form travel router style video. That being said though, initial impressions are quite good. This is the world's first Wi-Fi 7 travel router, if I'm not mistaken. Wi-Fi 7 allows this thing up to 2.8 gigabits per second transfer speed on the 5 gigahertz band. It measures 5.1 inches by 3.6 inches by 1.3 inches. It weighs just over 10 ounces, 295 grams. It's similarly sized, but a little bit heavier than my Slate AX Wi-Fi 6 router. Travel routers offer so much functionality if you're a nerd away from home. I'm still finding myself with more and more ideas from all of you on how I can utilize it. But just going over the basics really quick for those unaware, it essentially brings your own network with you wherever you go. So you can connect all of your devices to this, and you can connect this to whatever internet source you want or have. You can connect your phone to it and use your phone's mobile hotspot and have this serve all of your devices. You can use it as a Wi-Fi repeater if you want to use any public Wi-Fi sources. You can plug it directly in with Ethernet, nice and simple. And you can even use, mobile hotspots if you have one of those. Aside from the conveniences of not having to log in all of your individual devices or deal with those splash pages when you're connecting to public Wi-Fi, it's also much safer and more secure. You can run VPNs through this directly. There's actually a toggle switch that you can set to whatever you want, but you can have it toggle on and off your VPN. The Slate 7 has OpenWRT pre-installed as well, so that allows for a ton of additional customization and functionality. A ton of you had told me about Tailscale to be able to connect my home network here to this when I'm on the road. I'm definitely checking into that soon. The big obvious change for the Slate 7 though, besides the Wi-Fi 7, is actually a digital screen on the front that'll show a ton of different options and kind of lets you connect more easily with a QR code. I found this to be both good and bad. I really like the convenience and the ease. Sometimes if you're setting stuff up when you're on the road, you don't really know if everything's working properly. You have to pull up your device. Having some on-device display, I think, makes that much more convenient, but I think it also poses some potential security risk. If you're using this in public spaces to be able to be more secure, having someone potentially be able to touch the buttons and change things, I don't necessarily love. I think it also adds to the additional weight here, which is not great. It's only a couple of ounces, 50 grams or so, not a huge deal, but it was worth mentioning. When I pulled it out of the box, it felt much heavier than my Slate AX. That being said though, I do really like this. It's kind of an apples and oranges thing. I think you're going to be happy with just about any of the routers, but this is definitely the most premium one I have ever used. On the back, you have a USB-C port for power delivery, a LAN port, and a WAN port that are each 2.5 gig, which is really nice, step up from single gig. You also have a USB-A 3.0 port to be able to plug in your phone for tethering, or you can use this for an external drive to have network storage on the go. Definitely diving into this more soon as I brainstorm for the big travel router video. Let me know if you have any ideas for things you'd like to see or any specific questions about the new Slate 7. Got something simple up next. These are the Loop Quiet V2 earplugs. Not actually tech, but a little gadgety, and I thought it fit well into this video. Sometimes it is good just to have an analog version of something. I've been using and testing these for a little while. I'm really happy with them. Loop specializes in all types of earplugs. I've used the Loop Experience before for concerts and was pretty happy with that. These are a really nice addition to sort of a sleep hygiene type of setup when you're on the go, because earplugs are not something that you need until you really need them, and these are super lightweight and inexpensive and easy to kind of throw into your travel bag, forget about them, but they're there when you need it. The earplugs themselves are super small and comfortable. That was a necessity for me. I sleep on my side on my ear and didn't want something like AirPods that would kind of get in the way. I know some people do that, but I've tried it and it just didn't work for me. They're made out of a soft touch silicone and have a 24 decibel reduction. It seems to work really well in my experience testing it out. I also really like the case that it comes with here. It is super small and lightweight. It's 1.6 inches in diameter, and with the case and the earbuds, it only weighs 10 grams, so not even half an ounce. I think the small size and the travel case are enough for me to justify the $25 price point. They work really well. You can always use, cheaper foam tips that you can get in big packs for, $1 or $2 if you want a more inexpensive option, or if you want a more digital option, there are a couple of, I know Soundcore makes a sleep focused lineup for something like that. And I know also AirPods work in a pinch too. I know Linus Tech Tips always talks about sleeping in his AirPods. Really good quality here from Loop though, as expected, a potentially very essential part of a lot of people's travel kits. Got another Apple Watch accessory up next. This is the Satechi Apple Watch charging dock. I know I am a decade late to the party here, but having just gotten my Apple Watch, I'm digging into all of these really cool and unique accessories, and I really love this one. This is a little charger for your Apple Watch without any kind of cable. Adds a ton of potential for convenient ways to charge when you're on the go. It is also just much smaller and lighter than most of the other options out there. It's a 1.7-inch square. It only weighs 1 ounce or 28 grams. It offers the full 5-watt fast charging if you have one of the newer Apple Watches that support that. Build quality is amazing. The charging is fast. It's MFI certified. Most of the Satechi stuff I've been trying has been excellent, but it's really about the small size and convenience here. This is permanently going in my wilderness backpacking kit, so I can charge my watch if I'm on big multi-day trails. But even for regular travel, it'll be coming with me probably too. Just the ease of being able to plug it into a power brick or a battery like this and have power without any extra trouble. Just really nice, super small, compact, fast charging, not much else to say about it. Next up, we have the Etekcity luggage scale. Sometimes the less expensive, generic cheap option on Amazon is good enough without any need for further checking. I've had this for quite a few years and it works perfectly. It's cheap and inexpensive, has a billion reviews on Amazon. I have zero complaints here and really think a luggage scale is a pretty essential part of most of our kits, especially if you're in an area with really strict weight restrictions. For domestic travel, this isn't entirely necessary. I use it all the time for wilderness backpacking to weigh my pack before I go out. Again, unnecessary, but I'm a real nerd for weighing out all of my gear and kind of that ultralight type of stuff. But it's really good if you're bringing a checked bag or something and you're worried about going over the weight limit. Check it before you go, and so you don't need to stress about it or scramble around and figure out what to do when you're at the airport. It's also small enough and light enough you could potentially bring it with you. I take a lot of trips back to Michigan and I bring a lot of stuff back with me from my family, especially around Christmas time, stuff like that. This weighs 5 ounces, has a 110-pound weight limit, so it's going to cover just about any bag you can think of. Uses a replaceable CR2032 battery. I've had mine for 4 years and haven't replaced it yet, but it's nice to know, super common battery to swap it out. Again, sometimes the cheaper, generic, looking thing on Amazon is the right choice. I think this thing is $10 or less right now. Definitely worth a pickup if you haven't gotten it. Just really nice to know that you're not going to go over the weight limit after you leave for your trip. We got the best, or at least the biggest, for last. This is the Pioneer Carry Panda Pack 2.0. It's a 25-liter travel bag that is unlike anything else I've really tested before. It weighs 2.7 pounds. It measures 17.5 inches tall, 15 inches wide with the side pockets extended, and about 8 inches deep. The overall build quality and the materials and everything about this bag are just an absolute 10 out of 10 for me. Pioneer Carry puts so much focus on the materials and fabrics that they use with their smaller accessories like wallets and everything, but also with their bags, and I recently tested out a sling bag. That speaks to me so much as I've become a bit of a nerd with my clothes, making videos on the channel here, but reviewing bags for 7 or 8 years now. I can really appreciate it, and I really notice just how amazing some of the materials that they use, and aside from that, construction here is absolutely incredible. The exterior fabric is a DWR coated Mandarin 840 ballistic nylon. This feels really great. You have this really excellent texture, just super burly and thick and nice. This is the forest color here. They also have a black one. They did a very limited run of a black camo that looked awesome, but I think it's sold out already. So none of us are going to be able to see that, I don't think. On top of the Mandarin 840 fabric, on the interior, they use their 3XD fabric, which I actually have a wallet made of this. It's awesome and it's held up so well over the years. All the zippers are YKK Vislon. They're super chunky and just feel super nice, and they glide really easily. You don't have the additional water resistance of AquaGuard zips, but I really love the overall feel here. Organization is simple but thorough. You have a lot of 3D space in all of the pockets. That immediately stood out to me when I tested it. You have these two large front pockets here for for smaller items. You have 2 side pockets here that can double as water bottle holders. I was very skeptical of this as a water bottle holder, but I put a full liter size in here and it fit well and it felt really secure. So, all of my skepticism went away immediately. On the back side, you have a separate laptop compartment that can fit up to 17-inch laptops. And then the main compartment is almost entirely a large cavity here. You have 1 sleeve if you want to put an additional tablet or any documents or anything like that. And then you have 2 zippered pockets on the back side. This fully opens and clamshells out though, which I think is great. I always love having big caverns like this so I can organize it the way I want to. You still get some smaller organization to handle everything else, but it's just nice to have that variety. I think they struck that balance perfectly. The padding on the back and the shoulder straps feel excellent, extremely firm and durable. You have a luggage pass-through here. You have this really great reinforced top handle. It also comes with this small removable luggage tag, which I really appreciate. I always love the option to be able to take things on or off. The 25 liters here feels pretty accurate, not overly big or small compared to what you'd expect. I feel like a couple minutes here really does not do justice for this bag. I'm going to be diving in at some point in the future. I've been brainstorming some ideas. I have a few really unique travel bags, just trying to figure out how they work into a cohesive video idea for all of you. So stay tuned for that, or let me know if you have any ideas. All of these great materials and construction come in at a pretty steep price point though. It comes out to $395. One of the most expensive travel backpacks I've ever tested. It definitely feels like it costs that much, which I will say is a huge plus. You get a lifetime warranty. Everything about this is excellent, but you are definitely paying a premium for it. Just something worth noting. Check into it for yourself. I'm definitely going to be diving in more soon. But on that note, that is the end of the list for today. I really hope you got some good ideas. I'd love to hear where you're going on your trips this year, what you're packing, anything and everything. Leave it down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.